Hi everybody, this is John Peter speaking, and today I'd like to speak about what is Anthroposophy. This will be the first of a series of talks, and today's talk will be an introduction to Anthroposophy. Other subjects to be covered: karma, reincarnation, meditation, self-development, Christology, world evolution, the nature of truth, etc. Anthroposophy refers to a body of knowledge which explains the way the spiritual world, humanity, and the physical world interacted in the past, how they presently interact, and how, in the future, they will interact in terms and concepts that can be readily understood by using sound thinking, reasoning, and feeling. And hence, this gives meaning and understanding to the way human beings can practically act into the world in using spiritual principles. Now, as our material needs become satisfied, there are many of us who are searching for a meaningful world picture. We hope that this picture can encompass current scientific and social findings, that it leaves us free to choose, that it doesn't demean our thinking, and that it has a spiritual basis to it. Now, within this picture, answers are sought to questions such as, why is there increasing social disharmony between individuals? What will happen to me when I die? Why is there so much evil and suffering in the world? What is the purpose of all this before me? Can I have an idea of humanity's future and what role I can play in this? Why do I have a hunger to search for answers beyond the normally given religious or scientific explanations, which just seem incomplete and unsatisfying? Is there a spiritual world, and how can I know of its existence? And so on. Anthroposophy can mean many things, and can and has provided a satisfactory big picture which ties together many seemingly unrelated facts about humanity and the world. However, there is no easily understood answer as to what anthroposophy is, or what this big picture is. This has got to be worked at. Throughout history, there have always been secret centers where the depths of world existence were fathomed in their spiritual and material aspects. Now, these centers were only accessible to a few selected individuals, as this knowledge would not have been useful to the general population, where it could have easily been misunderstood. Today, humanity has evolved to the point where every individual, in using their everyday thinking, can now access many of these truths. Hence, one aspect of anthroposophy is that it is a body of knowledge where the depths of world existence in its spiritual and material aspects can be understood, thus providing inner meaning to a person's life, from which they can be then inspired into doing meaningful and practical actions into the world. It was through Rudolf Steiner, an Austrian-born philosopher and initiate, that anthroposophy was largely given its present form. The word initiate refers to an individual who is able to consciously perceive into the hidden realms beyond the physical sensory world. One previous form of anthroposophy was called Rosicrucian esotericism. And in the future, anthroposophy will and must invariably change from its present form to suit the maturity and capabilities of humanity of those future times. The word anthroposophy is a coined expression meaning human wrought wisdom, to differentiate it from the term theosophy, or God-given wisdom. Anthroposophy was initially outwardly disseminated in the theosophical circles, when Rudolf Steiner was invited to take on the leadership of the German section of the Theosophical Society. Here he found fellow seekers of spiritual knowledge, as is illustrated by the following words from his autobiography. When I accepted the invitation into the society, this was the sole institution worthy of consideration in which a real spiritual life existed. He had hoped that Anthroposophy could form a section within the theosophical work. Unfortunately, as with many organizations, opposing personalities made his work difficult to accomplish. And in 1913, the Anthroposophical Society was formed. However, it's got to be said that there are many areas of agreement with the present-day theosophical and anthroposophical knowledge and striving. In essence, there are no right or wrong views held by individuals as they proceed with their work with anthroposophy, as each of us is free to choose what aspects of this world outlook are suitable to our needs. For instance, an individual can be a staunch Roman Catholic, and hence the idea of reincarnation and karma may not be agreeable. But aspects of child education can be very much supported. So each individual is encouraged to respect another individual's view, no matter how contrary these views are to their own. This obviously assumes that the divergent views are within the realms of acceptable everyday behavior. Rudolf Steiner did, however, emphasize that when one develops spiritually to a certain level, then the divergence of views will cease, as each individual at that level will see the same objective truths, as is the case today in mathematics, where there's no disagreement. And sound thinking and reasoning are behind the basis of anthroposophy. So what are the principles and areas which are covered? These can fall under the following subject areas: the nature of humanity's sheaves, the visible and the invisible, the role of the various mystery centers and religions, the spiritual beings or forces behind humanity, the evolution of humanity, the past and the future, the purpose of humanity, life after death, the purpose of suffering and evil, the mystery of Christianity, reincarnation and karma, pathways of self-development, the necessity for death and materialism, meditation. Now, anthroposophy is unique because it's one of the few spiritual streams to work with objective spiritual knowledge which can then be applied in our everyday practical activities or world affairs and can actually enliven them. The following are some areas to which it has been applied: education and curative education, painting, architecture, social life, sculpture, nutrition, eurythmy, medicine, religion, speech and drama, agriculture, economics, social life, philosophy. Rudolf Steiner, through his own objective spiritual perception, was able to bring down from the spiritual world the anthroposophical content, and his indications, especially in the practical areas, have further been developed up by others. Education is the best known example of demonstrating the practical application of anthroposophy in Rudolf Steiner schools. Rudolf Steiner emphasized that it is necessary not to just blindly accept what he or others have said, but to always apply one's thinking, discernment, and other evidence to whatever has been presented. But also equally necessary is the quality of not blindly rejecting new truths which do not fit into the familiar, currently accepted scheme of things. This practice in itself is not easy, as a strengthened character is necessary to refrain from making fixed judgments in one direction or the other. And sometimes it may require to have the strength of character to live with several opposing concepts without rejecting any of them. Now, of course, there may be a conviction based on deep-seated feelings that a concept is true without direct knowledge of its truth, but there should also be the attitude to be able to forego the truth of this conviction should the objective world prove that it's incorrect. So if anyone wishes to acquire a comprehensive picture of a scientific discipline, a lot of effort and time is required to be devoted to this discipline if one is to succeed. So in like manner, time and effort is required if someone wishes to gain a meaningful and comprehensive world picture through anthroposophy, or with any other system of thought, where the purpose of our existence is to be understood. So the intention of these talks is just to give you a brief overview of some of the principles and key concepts. I hope that this may provide the encouragement for you to pursue the matter further with the comprehensive explanations given directly by Rudolf Steiner or other related authors. There are approximately 300 books by Rudolf Steiner which consist of his written material as well as his lecture presentations. A few of his important works are titled Esoteric Science, an Outline, Knowledge of Higher Worlds and How It Is Achieved, The Philosophy of Freedom, At the Gates of Spiritual Science, Manifestations of Karma, Theosophy. So I hope that the material will go in some way in providing an overview of what anthroposophy is about, and that it can act as a stimulus for you who in your hearts feel that there is some truth to the concepts that are being presented. Thank you.